Anderson shelters. Something that people used to go into all the time to save their lives. A sound that people would have been hearing every single evening. Now an experience for people to try and understand what it was like, but back then it was all too real. Behind me is a public air raid shelter. You can't go into it anymore, but this is a public air raid shelter. You would have gone through either at the front there, or there would have been a gap here as well that would have taken you down into the public area shelter, and that was for the local area to be able to protect anybody from if the sirens went off and bombing was potentially happening in the area. Other different forms of shelters that people would have been able to have at this time is they would have used what is known as Morris shelters. Now Morris shelters are basically like a metal box like this, and this is what you would have in your home. Throughout the day to day you would have it as probably like a table or a storage facility, and then when the siren went off you went inside the shelter in order to protect you and your family. If you couldn't have a Morris shelter, now a Morris shelter was a sort of thing to go into houses that didn't have a garden, so they couldn't have a Anderson shelter. But if you didn't have a Morris shelter, an Anderson shelter, or you didn't even have a shelter nearby, what you might have been able to use is you could have been using the cupboard under the stairs, or you could have also been using your cellar to use as a form of protection once the siren went off. If any of this didn't happen at all and you had no form of shelter, then what people were able to do, especially if you were walking around, it was encouraged that you should lie down on the floor flat, put your hands over your head, and basically pray to make sure that you would not get hit. But this is just some of the different forms of shelter that they used throughout the Second World War. There is other shelters that you can actually still access. Some of them have been turned into museums now, but as you can see, this is a public Anderson shelter still in the local area, and unfortunately you can't go into it anymore due to health and safety reasons. But yeah, this is a public air raid shelter. If you were down in London as well, what they used to use is the London Underground, but throughout most of England and Scotland, not many places have an underground, so it was mostly London that used an underground. But if you were in Yorkshire or other areas where that was not possible, then this is the sort of thing that you would have used.